Content note: this episode covers the murders of 2 teenage girls. We'll handle it with care throughout.
Dylan, last week we covered Gabby Petito, wall-to-wall media coverage, every channel, every platform, every podcast.
Including ours.
Including ours. This week, I want to cover a case that had almost none of that. 2 13- and 14-year-old girls murdered on a hiking trail in Delphi, Indiana in February 2017. Their killer was on the trail with them. One of the girls filmed him on her phone before they died.
She filmed him?
Liberty German, 14 years old, filmed the man who was about to kill her and her best friend on her phone. The footage survived. The audio survived. For 5 years, police played a clip of that audio publicly asking for help identifying the voice.
5 years?
5 years of a dead girl's phone footage being played on the news asking, "Do you know this man?" while the national media largely looked the other way. Welcome to HILLarious Media. I'm Cindy.
I'm Dylan. Episode 28, The Delphi Murders. The case you probably know if you follow true crime. The case the mainstream press largely didn't cover. Let's fix that.
Liberty Rose German, born December 14, 2002, 14 years old. She was described by everyone who knew her as funny, sharp, full of personality. She loved social media, she had a presence on Musical.ly, the predecessor to TikTok, and was creative and outgoing online and off.
And Abigail?
Abigail Joyce Williams, born August 17, 2003, 13 years old. Quiet where Liberty was outgoing, thoughtful, close with her family. The two were best friends. On February 13, 2017, a school holiday in Indiana, they went hiking on the Monon High Bridge Trail outside Delphi, a popular local trail. Liberty's grandfather dropped them off. They planned to be picked up a few hours later.
And they never came to the pickup point?
They never came. Their bodies were found the next morning, February 14th, Valentine's Day, in a wooded area near Deer Creek, about half a mile from the trail. I'm not going to describe the specifics of how they were found. I don't think it serves anyone, but the scene indicated a violent and deliberate crime.
And Liberty's phone?
Liberty's phone was found with the girls, and on it was footage and audio that would define the entire investigation.
Walk me through what was on the phone.
Liberty had filmed a man on the trail. A still image from the video was released publicly in February 2017, a stocky, middle-aged man in a blue jacket and jeans, hands in pockets, walking on the bridge. Investigators called him Bridge Guy and asked the public to help identify him.
And the audio?
In April 2017, investigators released an audio clip from Liberty's phone, a male voice, low and deliberate, saying, and this is the clip that has been played thousands of times, "Guys, down the hill."
4 words.
4 words that became one of the most analyzed pieces of audio in American true crime history. Voice analysts, amateur sleuths, linguists, people studied that clip for years, trying to identify the speaker from the cadence, the accent, the vocal characteristics. For 5 years, "Guys, down the hill" was how the world knew the Delphi killer.
And the community kept looking.
The Delphi community and the true crime community, which adopted this case intensely, kept looking. Multiple sketches were released over the years as the investigation developed. Tips poured in from across the country. The FBI was involved. Indiana State Police were involved. Multiple task forces.
And for 5 years, nothing official.
5 years, 3 months, and 19 days between the murders and the arrest.
October 2022. Who is Richard Allen?
Richard Matthew Allen, born August 1971. At the time of the murders, he was 45 years old and lived in Delphi, the same small town where Liberty and Abby were killed. He worked as a pharmacy technician at the local CVS. He was, by all accounts, an ordinary, largely unremarkable presence in the community. Married, no prior criminal record.
He lived in Delphi?
He lived in Delphi. He had reportedly been interviewed by investigators early in the investigation, as had many local residents, and nothing came of it at the time. He was arrested on October 26, 2022, and charged with 2 counts of murder. The probable cause affidavit indicated that unspent ammunition found near the crime scene matched a gun registered to Allen, and that Allen himself had told investigators he had been on the trail the day of the murders.
He told police he was on the trail that day.
He had confirmed his own presence at the scene. The physical evidence, specifically the bullet and the gun, became central to the prosecution's case. And then the trial happened. And the trial was something else entirely.
Tell me about the trial.
Richard Allen's trial began in October 2024 in Wabash County, Indiana, after a change of venue from Carroll County, the county where Delphi is located, due to the impossibility of finding an impartial jury in a community this small and this affected by the crime.
Reasonable so far.
Reasonable so far, and then it gets complicated. The defense strategy involved 2 major arguments. First, that the physical evidence had been mishandled and was unreliable. Second, and this is the one that made national headlines, that a secret society of Odinists, practitioners of Norse paganism, were actually responsible for the murders, and that Richard Allen was being framed.
I'm sorry, a secret society of Norse pagans?
The defense argued that the crime scene showed elements consistent with Odinist ritual practices, and that a specific group of local men with alleged Odinist connections were the true killers. The judge initially allowed significant portions of this defense, then suppressed it. Then there was a dispute about what could be introduced. The original judge was removed from the case and then reinstated by the Indiana Supreme Court.
The judge was removed and then reinstated?
By the Supreme Court of Indiana. The defense attorneys were held in contempt of court at various points. Previously sealed documents were leaked online, which is a whole separate scandal involving who leaked them and why. The trial was, by any measure, a chaotic legal proceeding.
And the verdict?
Guilty on both counts of murder, October 2024. Richard Allen was sentenced to 130 years in prison, the maximum available under Indiana law for the 2 murders. He maintains his innocence.
He maintains his innocence?
He does. His defense team has indicated they will appeal. The Odinist theory, which most legal observers and investigators considered unsupported, did not persuade the jury. But it has left a contingent of people in the true crime community convinced the wrong man was convicted.
Is he the wrong man?
The jury heard all the evidence, including evidence that was not public, and unanimously convicted him. The physical evidence connecting him to the scene is specific and documented. I find it very hard to argue with a unanimous jury that had access to everything. But the defense will have its chance to appeal, and the legal process will continue.
Cindy, last week we talked about missing white woman syndrome. Gabby Petito, young, white, conventionally attractive, received enormous coverage. German and Abigail Williams were also young and white. So why did the Delphi case get a fraction of the national attention?
A really important question, and I think the answer tells us that missing white woman syndrome is actually a more complex set of variables than just race. Age matters. Liberty and Abby were younger than Gabby, children rather than a young adult woman, and paradoxically, child victims sometimes receive less sustained media attention than adult victims because there's less of the romantic or aspirational narrative that drives certain kinds of coverage.
The van life aesthetic was part of Gabby's story in a way that made it visually compelling and shareable.
Exactly. Gabby was a social media creator. The media had a ready-made narrative. 2 girls hiking in rural Indiana didn't have that. Geography matters too. Delphi is a small town of about 3,000 people in Carroll County. It doesn't have the same cultural resonance as a cross-country road trip through national parks.
Class plays a role.
Class plays a role, and the true crime community, which did cover this case extensively, operates separately from mainstream media. The people who knew about the Delphi case were true crime podcasters, Reddit communities, dedicated forums. That coverage was real and substantial, but it never broke through to the level where someone who doesn't follow true crime would recognize the names German and Abigail Williams the way they recognize Gabby Petito.
And they should.
They absolutely should. Two 14 and 13-year-olds were murdered on a hiking trail. One of them had the presence of mind and the courage to film her killer on her phone before she died. That is an extraordinary thing. Liberty German deserves to be known for that.
Liberty Rose German, Abigail Joyce Williams, 14 and 13 years old. Murdered February 13, 2017, in Delphi, Indiana. Their killer was convicted October 2024 after more than 7 years.
The Delphi community carried this for 7 years in a way that deserves acknowledgement. Small towns are not equipped to absorb crimes like this. The families, the school, the investigators who worked this case relentlessly, all of them carried something enormous for a very long time.
And Liberty German, who in the last moments of her life thought clearly enough to document the man who was threatening them, who gave investigators and eventually a jury something to work with. That act mattered. That act contributed to a conviction.
She was 14 years old, and she was braver than most of us will ever have to be.
We say her name. We say Abby's name.
Thank you for being here for episode 28. I'm Cindy.
I'm Dylan. Subscribe, leave a review, keep the suggestions coming. Take care of each other. Good night.